welcome to Dead Time with your host, Holly Faust. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dead Time Tales. Tonight, I have a very, very special episode for y'all. I decided to bring together a group of witches so that we can have a conversation about what witchcraft actually is. People that have unique paths that some of you may not even consider to be witchcraft. Some are religious, some are secular, and some are somewhere in between. So here's my panel for tonight. They're a group of my friends, and we just decided to get together and chat with y'all a little bit about witchcraft. So we have Eldridge, Jen, and Lisa. Hi, guys. Welcome. Now,
Hi.
quick, as we get started, if we can just go through and if you could just give like a brief description about your craft and how you practice it. Eldridge, we'll start with you because you're right next to me.
I actually have a very eclectic path. I pull from a lot of different things. I try to stay away from taboo areas, like I do not do any voodoo. I do not do any, Native American practices. Fascinated by them, yes, but I do a lot of herbal healing. I do a lot of tarot work, rune work. Um, but yeah, it's just a very eclectic. I pulled from a lot of things since I didn't get like the formal into it. Like, I guess starting with Scott Cunningham, it was, hey, go out there and pick and choose what works for you. And I kind of took it to heart.
Hey, that's totally acceptable. And like I always tell people, witchcraft is a path and it's not always a religion. However, there are witches who do practice a religion. Now, Lisa, you're next.
Hi. So my main path is Norse pagan. I am ordained though, so I am a minister as well. I guess you would call me a high priestess, but in other sense of the words, I am eclectic because I do incorporate other entities of other paths and have also made it my own. Um, I make it more of a lifestyle than a faith or religion because that's just how I am.
So thank you. And then Jen, and for those of you that like follow me around, you've probably seen Jen on a podcast or two with me. So
Yeah,
my followers, some of them already know Jen a little bit. So
I make the rounds.
yeah.
So I would consider myself an intuitive witch, I guess. I don't necessarily follow any one particular path, but I draw from a lot of ones that I feel called to, Celtic, kind of druidic, but also the Italian. Um, I am interested in looking into the backgrounds of my family's heritage, and I like to pull practices from there. Um, but mostly I just do what feels right. Like, I know that some people really are into timing and, this needs to be done on this day at this time during, and I'm more like, if the mood strikes me right now and I feel like I have to do that right now, I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah. I can feel that because I always tell people I'm a lazy witch. I don't know the moon cycles. I don't know when it's Mercury retrograde. I don't know any of that stuff. I just know something's off. And
Yeah,
for
Mercury is in
me,
the lemonade right now.
yeah, I heard about that. Um, but like with me, I'm more Celtic in my practices, but I'm also very much lean into my indigenous roots. And now I've actually gotten a call into Appalachian folk magic, which I just found out through study follows the lines of Scotch Irish immigrants in
Gosh, Irish and
Appalachia.
Native.
Yeah, and it's like a melding of the 2 of my background, like, my
Yep,
dad's side and my mom's, and I said, "Wow, why didn't I discover this sooner?" And my one friend said, "Because it wasn't your path yet." And so, yeah, I just recently started studying magic, they call it, or
nice.
powwow. But powwow is more PA Dutch, I'm finding, where this is granny magic is truly the meat and bones of Appalachia and the Irish, Scotch Irish melding with the indigenous stories. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm curious to, see what you find out and what you learn.
I know I'm trying to find books that aren't ones that are, I like so many of them are like written by someone in Scandinavia. And I'm like, what does a Scandinavian know about Appalachia? She probably can't even pronounce it.
And it's funny, I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains of southwestern Pennsylvania, so this is all very relatable, and I'm actually excited to learn about this.
Yeah, I'm like, and I remember to me, it's like in the beginning stages when I was like 12 or 13. And I had my first argument with my parish priest about the fact that purgatory isn't mentioned in the Bible. And, it is really when I started feeling a pull, like, because I mean, I grew up very eclectic because my mom was assimilated into Catholicism. My grandmother was an Irish Catholic. My grandfather practiced like the Celtic Druidic stuff, and my other grandmother was very much into her indigenous practices. So I didn't have like any, yeah, except for the fact that they made me go to church every Sunday and put a doily on my head. That was the only basis that I had. So, for me, like when I started delving into witchcraft, I was very young. And, my grandfather gave me tarot cards, I think when I was like 5 or 6.
Nice.
Yeah, so and I still don't read them. I do for myself, but I read oracle for everybody else when I do my work.
You're going to
So,
read tarot for me next time you come over.
oh, I got a deck from you, because I got
That's
called.
right.
Do any of you
Oh,
guys ever get that when you're like out somewhere? I was at a doctor's appointment and all of a sudden, boom, you need to start reading tarot. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So
yeah.
I drove right to Jen's shop and literally picked up a tarot deck. And we went through like I think almost everyone in the shop before I found one that I connected with.
Well, because
I,
of course, almost every deck I have on the shelf for sale, I have an open deck in my collection. I'm like, oh, look at this one, look at this one, look at this one.
well, that's like if
I
I
think
need to know
too.
something, I will pull that 13th card from the deck, and that's, usually what I need to know about my current situation right then and now.
Nice. The 13th card, huh?
Hmm.
And then
Cool.
there's just me. I just start shuffling until they spit out at me.
I cut the deck where I feel, or I shuffle until they start throwing them at me.
Eldridge, do you do that too? Do you wait until they throw themselves at you, or do you have like a
No, mine will usually just be like, hey, hey, yeah, no, you need to keep going, and I'll just start thumbing through my cards, and all of a sudden one will just be like, yes, this is the one that you need to look at right now. And I actually have a mini steampunk tarot that I keep in my purse for just emergency tarot
dude?
situations.
Mine are everywhere. My husband, I think, is getting ready to like throw me out because every time I bring a new deck in the house, he's like, "Really, really? How many of them do you have now?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you."
Never
It
enough.
was
You can never have
there's
enough.
I'm at
that
150,
joke. They all fit in one box.
right? It's just that not the same box.
It's just
They're like
no.
shoes. You can
A
never have
house is a
enough.
box.
Yeah, I now shoes. I don't. I just got a pair of Vans because my feet aren't fat anymore. So now, is there something like in your magical repertoire that you can't do without? Like for me personally, like if I had to choose one thing, it would be my wand. Now, I know it sounds a little cliche, but my wand was basically created for me kind of similar to the way the ones in Harry Potter were. It has like a core, it has, specific different woods that are part of it. And so for me, I think it's an extension of me when I use it like I have two of them because the second one was actually made for me with, I believe I want to say hibiscus from a hibiscus tree. They're like really knotty and round, white, like wiry. And
Okay.
a gentleman at the market came up to me and my friend Maeve and asked us, if it would be wrong, because we're both very Celtic and very attached to trees, to take these cuttings that someone left behind and make wands. And I picked up one and I'm like, oh my God, no, it's not a problem, but I want this one. And and that one, it's just there's something about it when I put it in my hand that he took so much time creating that to be like not even really knowing all about the pink and the glitter and how I'm like really a girly girl deep down inside, and he made that to a T with all of these beautiful things that I don't show to people.
Hmm.
And so, like, for me, my wand is my thing that in my box that I cannot live without.
Everything that I need is in the earth, like is on it. Like I don't really have an attachment to tools. Like I have things that I like. I call, them nice to have. They're nice to have, but I don't need them,
Oh no,
if
I
that
can
makes any
totally
sense.
understand because, like, I know, like, yeah, we're very much in line with the earth, so we have everything right there. So that makes complete sense. So you're just get up and go. You don't need to grab nothing.
Hmm.
How about you, ladies? Is there anything that you think you couldn't go without in your practice?
Mine kind of falls in line with, the earth because I use a lot of crystals. But I also, I don't know if you saw, I wear the evil eye, which comes from more, Middle Eastern faiths, as a form of protection, but also receiving, positive energy depending on, where you're wearing it. So on one of my hands, it's protecting me, and then on the other hand, it's receiving, that positivity. So I do a lot of things, crystals and jewelry, and I actually have a nose ring that is the Triskelion, which Holly, I'm sure you would recognize
Yeah.
as Celtic because I do descend from Celtic ancestry as well. So there's a lot of things that I incorporate on my person on a daily that as I said before, it's a lifestyle for me. It's not about a faith, or a religion. It's a lifestyle because I have a
It's
genuine
who you are.
love and
Right.
appreciation for the earth and for all that inhabit it.
And I love that. Like, and that was another reason why I felt it was like important to bring people on that practice, because to so many people, like, and I see it, Eldridge, Jen, we see it in our witches group. People constantly think it's only Wicca and it's only a religion.
Yes.
And there are far so many of us that prescribe to no religious in our magic, at least,
But
because
even,
spiritually I can align myself with Christians or Jewish people or Buddhist or Hindi because I'm an interfaith person.
yeah,
But, I don't prescribe to that in my practice because my practice is very much rooted in reverence to the earth.
I have a friend that comes around the shop a lot, and she'll read a post from the group, and she'll say, "Oh, but what, why? In, anytime," and I'm like, "Listen, you are Wiccan, and I love
Uh,
that for you. The person posting is not.
right.
Stop telling them what they can and can't do."
Yeah, I totally get on the soapbox to protect. Like the one thing as a witch that is my biggest pet peeve is picking on other witches, because we're supposed to love, we're supposed to respect, and we're supposed to honor everyone. And when I see people saying, "Oh, but accept the Christians," and I'm like, wait, no. Like, I may not be like a Christian witch, but I'm going to go out to bat for them just as much as I'm going to go out to bat for a druid or a gypsy witch or,
I,
whatever.
I think there's most of the people that I know that are witches or would consider themselves witches and also Christian are actually following the teachings of Jesus Christ.
Amen. And I will say
So
that they are following the teaching. Like, I just had this discussion with someone the other day, because they were saying, well, except, there's nothing like Christian love. And I said, but that's not true. I said, Christian love is pure love. If they are following the commandment from Jesus that states, the greatest of these is love, they're not going to hate people for being gay. They're not going to hate people for being black or brown or orange or purple or pink. They're going to love, because me as an interfaith minister, I love everybody until they get me angry.
there's a woman down the street that posted in a group about how I'm evil. What I do is evil. And I told her to stop being so judgmental.
Right.
And I said, you're spreading hate. Yeshua would not want you to spread hate. Love. It's all about the love. I'm not spreading hate.
No,
You
and you're
just
not.
literally
You're
defamed myself and my business by calling me a
any
scammer and evil.
right. And anybody that knows
Like,
Jen knows, like, when you go to her shop isn't just a store. It's a community. It's a collective. You can go I go in there. I could go sit in the community room and just chill
hell
out.
yeah.
I don't even have to buy nothing. I could
I'll
just
make you a
go.
cup of tea.
Yeah, she'll make you a cup of tea, she'll sit down and chat with you. Like, I went through my first major healing that I had been holding on to for generations. It wasn't even just my crap, but it was from generations of my family in her location. And it doesn't matter where she moves, that energy goes with her. And that was a message that you yourself got, that
Yep.
your
I
community
am the
was
space. I make
right.
the space.
And that's truth. And and it's just, and that's, I think it's especially in today's realm of everything that we're going through in the world. I think it's so important to have conversations and share with people, because right now, like, I hear it on the constant. Oh, witchcraft is evil. Witchcraft is of the devil. Witchcraft is, yeah. And I'm like, well, what devil are you talking about? Because,
Right. The Jersey
I
Devil,
have
the
a I
Tasmanian
have a
Devil,
whole
like which one?
dictionary. I have a whole dictionary of demons here, man. Which one we talking about? My friend
I love the
literally wrote the
Tasmanian
book.
Devil. Yes.
Yeah, my friend literally wrote the book Dictionary of Demons, and she has everyone listed. So which one are we talking about? Because there's more than one. So if it's your devil, well, I don't believe in your devil. So
Right.
how can I worship it?
So Holly, question.
Hmm.
Um, I know earlier we were talking about, the Bible, before, we got on the
Right.
podcast. What do you think about the Gnostic texts?
Actually, that's part of the old Catholic Church, is the Gnostic scriptures. The Book of Mary, the Book of Judas, all of those are part of, actually, my favorite tarot, the only one I read for decades, is the Watch Your Angel tarot, which is part
Yes.
of the Gnostic Bible. And that's what I was trying to explain. Like, when people talk about witchcraft and you look at the Catholic Church, for example, their biggest thing is transubstantiation, which is turning bread and wine into the body and blood. If that ain't witchcraft, I know a lot of my Catholic friends are gonna
Right?
get so mad at me right now, but
It is,
sorry.
No,
bro.
no,
If
it's
I
true
lose followers,
though.
it's okay, but it
No,
is
it's
true.
true because like they are doing rituals just as we would because it doesn't matter what you believe, like whether it's prayer, a spell, a manifestation,
They all
or
they're all the same.
what's the scientific law? It's all the same. Nobody is negating that there is a higher power at play, whether it's our own higher divine consciousness or if it's, you know, a sprayer or sorry, a prayer, a spell, a manifestation. There's something more powerful at play, no matter who, what walk of life.
And that's something that I've been discovering, like going down this path of granny magic. A lot of their spells are psalms.
Yeah,
And I literally, the other day, I'm scrolling through Facebook, you know, because I'm sick and I can't deal with the world. So where do I go? Facebook. And I literally see like a woman say, "Yeah, I'm a praying woman." And then I see her, you know, praying over our president. And it's a psalm. And let me tell you, that psalm was all about may he go into the desert and may his children be removed from him. May this. And I'm like, holy good night. You know, and that's,
Wow.
if that ain't witchcraft, you know, but it is a psalm that talks about may this leader go out into the desert and be and have everything removed from him and may all of these and these are things that like people don't understand, like the psalms is a book of magic and it depends on which magic you want to use, but I was just like whoa, like I had never seen that psalm before, so I had to go look
I'm
it
like,
up to see if it was
yeah,
real.
where is that? I want to read that one.
Yeah, so now
yeah, me too.
I'm literally reading Psalms now to go through and like cuz learning that was part of folk magic and that, you know, it's not only the Appalachian magic, but a lot of I guess powwow. You know, the Pennsylvania Dutch, their witches also utilize a lot of psalms in their work, but you can't call them witches in the Pennsylvania Dutch world.
Yep.
I have a book that I got that I will send you a link to that has all kinds of like old folk remedies and things
Mhm.
from that whole genre. And most of them are prayer,
Yeah.
like straight
And
up.
I think what we do is prayer. Like I
Mhm.
think when I create a money bowl, I'm sending out a prayer to the universe or whatever higher power exists asking for money. Just give me money, man, or abundance or whatever. You know, like when I do my morning ritual. And you know, for me it's burning my sacred medicines, my sage, my cedar, my sweet grass, you know, and tobacco and sending up smoke. For indigenous people is a form of prayer. We believe our prayers are carried up to creator on our
Mhm.
smoke.
Yep.
And that was something I was taught from childhood. So whenever I see smoke, I'm always sending stuff up with it. And I don't care what's in that. If it's trash smoke out in my backyard or if it's, you know, my medicine in the front. I'm gonna send something up because that's traveling right up to my ancestors.
I love that.
Yeah, and that hey, and I am. I'm like pyromancy has become a thing for me. I don't
That's
know
awesome.
why, but fire for some reason has really been speaking to me lately. I get lost in it.
Anything can be um, used to focus intention.
Mhm.
Any smoke. I keep telling when people ask me about white sage, for instance, um, I will remind them that they can use any herb, any herb. You want to do a smoke cleanse? Cool. You can use any herb.
Right. And me as an indigenous person, I always explain to them, first of all, if you're from this area, white sage was never your medicine because it didn't grow here. What grew here is black sage or mugwort,
Mugwort, yep, got
and
that.
that's black sage.
Russian sage grows around here.
Garden sage, and you know, for my people, we don't use white sage as lakota. We use prairie sage or blue sage.
Right,
We,
right,
you
right.
know, So, like, yes, we do use white sage now because that money does, like, when we ethically source it, it's going back to the
Right.
earth. Like,
And that's what
I
I'll
sell,
do.
yeah, I
I
sell
I got
white.
so used to using it when I was, in my very early teens,
Well, we all did. I
and
never knew
now
why
it's
my
just like,
grandmother got mad at me when I would have a sage stick when I was a kid. But now as an adult, now I understand why, because I wasn't honoring the medicine the way it was supposed to be honored. And then I learned about black sage, white sage, red sage, prairie sage, blue sage. It was an eye-opening experience because, like, I'm reconnecting, and as a reconnecting person, we're like babies. We're like absorbing, and
hmm
I have a family member that lives on the res, which means I have more access to elders, more access to information.
hmm
And, I'm still pulling in and learning. And, I get white sage and I get blue sage ethically from the tribes, and I sell them for people. And I literally have it marked ethically sourced. All money raised from this goes back to the
hmm
Diné tribe and the Oglala Lakota tribes, because I don't keep that money. I send it right back. Uh, I purchase it from them, but then I also send the money back that I make from it.
Okay.
That's just my give back. I can't do anything
Yeah,
else.
no, that's
You
good.
know, although I'm still waiting for them to come and take me away and put me back on the res.
Well,
I told my husband.
I might get deported to Italy because,
Well, that's what I told my husband. I'm either going to Ireland because my dad was a birthright citizen. So technically, depending upon what happens there, I'm either going to Ireland or the res. So I told my husband, you're either going to get a call from Dublin or you're going to get a call from a cave in the middle of the Badlands. I'll be like, yo, where are you? I'm in a cave somewhere with some elder, man. Come get me.
Yeah, it's like if they ever trace my heritage back, it's gonna be one or the other too, because
Yeah. And that's like,
reservation or Europe somewhere.
yep.
well,
So
my
no luck.
father was born in another country, so
Yeah.
Italy. So,
So yeah, you're in the same situation I'm in. My dad was literally born on a ship in the middle of the ocean on the way here from Ireland. So because of that laws back then, he had tri-citizenship. England, the country that the ship came from, Ireland, the country they departed from, and the United States, the country they were going to. It's weird how that works.
hmm
Yeah, but I think that if they were to really enforce, deportation, there really would not be any American left in this country because we all have
It'd
ancestry
be
from other places as it
right. It'd be
is.
all the people on the res, man. They'd be the only ones left.
right.
Right?
And they'd be like,
We're safe.
finally,
Right? They'd be like, Skoden, man. Let's do it.
like, finally.
We got it. You follow the one creator that I'm friends with, Edgar, the Fire Messenger. You probably know him by the Fire Messenger on TikTok.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just hear his voice in my head with that stuff, and I can see him now saying, like, creator, you finally did it.
Yep. Yep.
But now there was another thing, because I know, as witches, we all have a unique aspect to our craft, something that, is maybe a little bit different than what other witches practice. Because, like I try to explain, like, people ask me what witchcraft is, and I'm like, it's not really anything.
It's
It's a
a,
path that you
a
walk.
craft.
Right, you walk on your own and you create. I mean, I don't know how you all feel, but to me, I feel we create our path as we're traveling it. The
Yes.
creator brings things to us as we need it, but I don't think there's anything, like, to me, that what makes my craft uniquely mine, I think, is my melding of, my
hmm
indigenousness with my Celtic roots.
It's the same thing that makes my healing my own, I have learned all of these things over the years and I put them all together in my brain and made my own Path.
modalities, right?
Yeah.
Modality, your modalities to healing are very similar to your path in the craft.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can agree. I can attest to that because I think I have incorporated my healing modalities with Reiki and mediumship and everything into, and now learning past life regression. You know,
Love
that was,
past life regression.
dude, that I got slammed with that one. All of a sudden, all these people are messaging about past life regression. I started a course like 2 or 3 years ago. I never finished it. Cause why? Because I got bored. I mean, I have ADHD. I don't
I was
stick with
just gonna say
anything.
you got
Yeah,
ADHD.
I don't stick with nothing. Like my conversations even go everywhere. But
Hey, listen, that is a hell of a skill set because, the people with ADHD, they were the scavengers, they were the survivalists. It's not a disorder, it's a well-refined skill set because you had to adapt to anything and
but
everything. It's such a
my
situational awareness
but
thing.
the sad part is along with having ADHD though, I'm also very neurodivergent with some type of,
Mm,
thing. So I have no sense of humor unless I think it's funny. I'm very rigid and like I hurt people's feelings because
okay.
I speak fact. And I don't care what anybody thinks. If it's my fact, it's coming out of my mouth.
There was a
Hell yeah, I love that.
there was a video that I saw earlier today, and it was somebody saying what it would sound like if people spoke about allistic people like they do about autistic people. And it was the funniest thing I have ever heard. And
Dude,
it was
they
all
probably
true.
was listening to me at some point then because I'm telling you, and this is what happens. Like I I love all people, but someone crosses me the wrong way, and you've all witnessed it. I go off a handle. I defend what I love. And, I'm learning to not do that so much. I'm hoping because I ate a hole in my stomach with my anger and my anxiety
Yeah.
vaping
You need to
and
come in
vaping.
for a treatment, miss.
I know I do. Well, now we got to go through the whole driving thing again. You know how for me, I get hyper anxious after surgeries. And like since this surgery, I'm waking up. I can't get to sleep because once I start drifting off, so, that's been a big issue. Like, and now I did drive yesterday, but someone was in the car with me. I drove from the shop in Danville to my house and then over to Sealands Grove with my son. So, I
Awesome.
mean, we're making strides. And I know like part of my craft is letting go, which I really wish I could learn that lesson so I can move on to the next one because I've been
Yep.
trying to learn that lesson for my good.
Transmutation is your friend.
Yeah, but I don't like to let go, man. But the doctors told me that's what causes my stress, my inability to let go.
Hmm.
I'm right there with you on that one, Holly. Which makes me wonder, are you a Sagittarius, Aries,
I'm
or
a,
Leo by
I'm a
chance?
Sagittarius.
I'm a
Yeah,
Sagittarius too. Oh my God.
I'm a Sag cap.
I am a Sagittarius, Aries, and
Nope,
Gemini.
I'm all Sag cap.
I have all the chaos.
Thank God I have too many friends that are Aries and it's Aries season right now. Oh yeah, that's right. You're an
I know.
Aries. Here
Aries.
Yeah,
I
my
have
moon.
Yep.
multiple friends named Jen and they are all Aries.
Aries sun, Cancer moon, and Virgo rising.
Yep, nope, yeah, see, I wish I had something different, but I'm just a Sag cap.
I,
I see my black
You
moon
see,
in Lilith is in Virgo, so that really like oomphs everything.
I'm
I'm
like
just like, ooh.
mostly love and light and a little bit I will cut you.
See, I'm a little bit of love and light, and the rest of me is like, I'm gonna get you fuck around and find out, man.
Yep.
I'm the
That's
same
my
way, man.
favorite phrase. I'm
It
gonna get
will.
that put on a t-shirt.
Yep. I have
Yes.
a sweatshirt
Love
that
it.
says FAFO, and it's a one of the Care Bears, but it's a FAFO bear.
I need a Fafo bear. I need to find that because
Same.
but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, now the one other question, like covens. It's something that I see all the time on TikTok in our group, like these young witches, baby witches, little witches, whatever they want to call themselves. I don't care. It's their name. If they want to claim it, let them. But they all say, well, where can I find a coven? Now, for me personally, I've never belonged to a coven. I mean, I've come close. I think your community is the closest I've gotten
Right.
to a
We're a
coven like
learning circle.
environment. Right. I've never prescribed to like where I had because God, let me tell you, if I had someone trying to spew to me what to do, I don't think that would end well.
Right. The traditional coven is very much structured, and there's a hierarchy and rules and all of the things that I don't go to church for. So it doesn't really appeal to me. Now, the broader sense of the term, like people throw it around now, is more just like a group of people who practice witchcraft together.
Right. And that's why I think we need a better word.
Yeah.
Because to me, I don't know about you guys, but to me, when I hear coven, I cringe. Because I think that it's very patriarchal, even though in most cases we're a little bit matriarchal. But I think it's kind of like going into the church and having the pope, or
Hmm.
going into, another sect and having your imam or whatever. And I don't think, like, for a lot of us witches, that's really not what we're looking for. We're looking for community. We're looking for connection. We're looking for people that we can manifest together with.
Right. It's a community. It's not really a coven. It's you know our our group here is a learning circle, a community. We don't really use the word coven.
And that's what I like. I want to say so bad some of the times when I see people posted. I want to say, well, you are in one technically. This is just a big one. There's 13,000 of us. What do you want?
Right.
Yeah, I
You know?
belong to a small group of friends who I used to practice with. One now is in Seattle. The other one is back in Oil City, but he's kind of turned into a party boy at
Uh,
40 something. And I just decided that, you know, I didn't need that type of energy. And I kind of do my own thing by myself. I
yeah.
tried to work with an Erie coven, and it was a lot of, well, I am a 13th level, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, nope, I'm out. Can't do this.
Yeah,
Just
see
like a
that
D&D game all of a sudden.
that's when I lose my temper because I'm like, yeah, you're a 13th level baby. I've been doing this for hundreds of years. So let's go. Let's throw
And
it
then
down.
the one, there was one here in Oil City where I'm at. This was a long time ago. This is before I moved to Greensburg. This is like at the very birth of um, WOPA, which was a newsletter that I put out, and they were just. It was a guy basically using it to meet girls, even though he was married. And I'm just like, no, you people do not understand what this, is supposed to be. This is supposed to be like a community. This is supposed to be people working together to make something better.
Better.
And yeah, I just kind of really lost my taste for the whole, coven thing. And, you know, when I started online and then when it blew up during the pandemic, it was just one of those things where I'm just like, this is the community. This is what I've been trying to accomplish, getting, all of PA pulled together so we knew where to find each other. Because
Hmm.
yeah, living here in Oil City outside of my little group of friends that I had, we really felt like we were like the only witches in like an 80-mile radius.
I feel like that where I'm at.
And yeah, and most of our groups on your side of the state.
But where I'm at, in the tail end of the coal region. Like
Yeah.
we like especially where I'm at. Like, you go into the town next to me and it's insanity. Like the alt Christian, the more evangelical, it's crazy. Like I lived between, I had one right next to me. Like every time they put some type of a sign out, I flew another gay flag. You I'm just, but that's the type of, like, so I always say if they're coming, they're gonna come to get me. I'm gonna be one of the first ones to go because I don't know how to control that aspect. Because I think we hid for so long that we
Right.
finally got accepted and open and started being able to live our true selves.
I need for people to know, like, I don't need, but I feel like I should be seen so people know where they can go that's safe.
Mhm. And I'm the same way. My house was always a safe house for all the teenagers that weren't accepted by their families or, and that's something that I still practice today. I love people for who they are. I don't care what you are. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't
Yeah, I
care.
really don't.
Like, I don't look at that. Although I have found out the last week or so, I tend to say things that aren't quite socially acceptable, but like, I can't help that. It's who I am. Like I do, and I know I do it. I make comments that I think are like, saying things, in an okay way, but then I'm finding out that they're not. So I'm like, well, if I'm 50, I ain't changing anytime soon.
Hey, you
Unless
be
people,
you
Everybody can
because
learn.
listen, the right people will naturally gravitate towards you. So
and I've been finding that
don't make
because,
yourself little.
well, and what was it? I can't even remember, like 20, like around the mid pandemic, someone got me a chip of Moldavite,
Okay.
just a chip. And when I got that chip, I set an intention, creator, who's ever not in this for me, get them out of my life. Well, let me tell you, that little chip totally, well, Jen, you've been along for the ride for most of it.
Yep.
15-year career in the paranormal. Goodbye. See you later. I don't like racist. Multiple people that I investigated with forever gone because I slowly started seeing behind the masks of who they were. And that was just from a little tiny piece of moldavite. I think
Yep.
that's what it was, the meteor shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do crystal therapy and I don't even know what half of the stones are called unless I look at my book.
Um, yeah, a lot of people say racist things because they don't realize that what they're saying is racist in origin.
Right.
I have come to
Well,
see a
and
lot
I
of that
think,
around here.
right, and I think a lot of people take terms, like I have a very good friend that has a shop in Shenandoah, who it goes by the Gypsy Crone. And she is full-fledged Romani,
Right.
and there is no doubt when you go, and she embraces that word. But
And
yet
she's
there are
entitled
other,
to do it.
right, but there are other people around her that use it against her in the
Right.
derogatory sense, just like me. I cringe when I hear white people saying the I word. That's why I
Right.
left my former team, because they were calling me the I slur. And I would say, please don't do that. It's not your word. You're a white person. And, call me indigenous, call me native, and, but please don't call me that unless you're one of us.
Right.
Like me and my closest friend, we spew it all the time, man. We're saying, we have phrases that if people heard us, they would think, because we're both white passing, they would
Uh-huh.
think we were racist without knowing the fact that we're
Well,
native.
and that,
Yeah,
there's
it's
a
like
lot of
we're just
words that
pale.
people in specific races can say
Right.
that is not okay. And I don't necessarily understand it, but I will honor it.
Right. And people want to take power back to words like witches.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be free to call ourselves witches. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, I'm a Reiki master. No, I'm a witch. Yes, I am a Reiki master teacher, but I'm a witch.
Yeah.
I acquired my skills in Reiki because I'm a witch. not because I'm a minister, not because I'm a preacher, not because of anything other than for my craft. And, just like, as a member of, the alternative LGBTQI community, I constantly tell people I'm queer
Hmm.
because I take ownership of that word because it was used against me and my
Yeah.
friends for most of our youth. Like I told my kids I was around when it was still just the gay community. There was no alphabet.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, there was no even L in there. It was just that gay community. We were just the G community.
Well, now it's the legitimate aqua.
Yeah, well, I always say the alphabet mafia. That's what I say, the alphabet mafia, because we
Like the
we like
E4 Mafia.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I say. Like for the longest time on TikTok, it literally said proud member of the alphabet mafia. And now I of course have LGBTQIA plus because my kids were on me. Well, when I got to a certain level of followers, they're like, "Mom," I said, "What do you want me to put? I'm queer." No, don't do that.
Why not?
And I said, "Why not?" I take claim to that word, but some
Put
people
whatever
still
you
get
want.
offended by it. Right? I'm who I am. I'm me. I like glitter. I love rainbows. Long walks on the beach. No, I'm kidding. This isn't a dating show. Honest.
No, that's like with me. I'm a veteran, and I got out as an E4, and we throw around the joke all the time. Being a part of the E4 mafia because we're the misfits that we're not quite in leadership, but we still relate to the privates. But um, we still have that level of mischief. But what's the word I'm looking for? It's a uh the name has escaped me, but it's not a bad kind of mischief. It's just we work smart, not hard.
Yeah, well, now see, my husband, he really worked smart, not hard, because he went in the same rank he came out as. He got promoted, but then immediately following such promotion, he was demoted. So he never every time he got promoted, he literally came out in OSG, the same thing he went into the Navy as.
Hey, no
So
judgment.
hey, he's still a veteran. He still served, and it's
Exactly. Even
just,
if you served a day, you are a veteran. You can, get
but
benefits and all like that. So
and now another question that I think, as someone involved in the craft, like, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about witches?
Mm.
That were all the
I
same
think,
practice.
That is true.
and there's another thing too that we're evil, but I find people often fear what they don't understand, and they've been
Yep.
misguided, misled, and especially with when the Bible was rewritten and the Gnostic texts were left out. That's something that kind of upsets me because there's no transparency, and so we're not seeing the whole picture. And it takes someone willing to explore and understand to fully accept it.
Mhm. And I agree with that. To me, I think the one thing that I hear all the time is, "You guys dance naked under the moon?" And
Sometimes.
I tell them only after a couple of drinks.
Uh-huh.
Right. You
Yep.
gotta get me a little tipsy first, but
Yeah,
yeah.
put me on TikTok, give me a couple drinks, maybe I will. But but yeah, like, I mean, I hear that all the time. Like, I don't know where that misconception, and I'm gonna end up researching it at
Because
some
there
point and
are
figure it
people
out.
who dance naked under the moon. Like it's
But does that mean
fun,
they're always
whatever.
witches?
No.
Exactly. So when I
Oh,
hear that,
here's
I'm like,
another one.
"Ugh."
You right? Oh,
Yep.
here's another one. Flying on the broom. They would actually rub oils and whatnot as hallucinogens, and then be naked and straddle the broom, and it would get them high, so that it would feel like they were flying, and that's
I
that's where
never
I
knew
mean that.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to try that. No, I'm kidding.
right.
I'm honestly joking. Although
Like, hey, whatever they're on, share.
I do ride a broom around my house, man. I do it just for fun, just for shits and
Hey,
giggles. But no, yeah, that is a misconception. Like I always hear that, why don't you go fly
Yeah.
your broom? Besides being called Pocahontas, I'm always told to go fly my broom. So,
I just think that there's this like, it doesn't matter what you practice, what your spirituality is, what your religion is, what your lifestyle is. It, it's neutral.
yep,
Energy is neutral. It's the intention of the person behind the energy,
correct.
the intention of how it's being used that determines whether it's good or bad
And that
or positive or negative.
and for me, that's always been, another one of my pet peeves is black and white magic. I feel that's very like racially
Yeah.
profiling because to me, I follow a rule of duality. I believe for whatever, everything has duality. Without good, without evil, there is no good. Without
Right.
darkness, there is no light. So
a balance. Yeah,
I practice balancing both ends of that spectrum
Yeah.
in my
We have a shadow self and we have a light
right.
self.
And I
Like
mean,
that is
and anybody who knows me knows that I hex as quick as look. If it's called for, I ain't afraid because like I think one of the biggest huge misconceptions was the threefold law because
well,
not
that's a
everybody
Wiccan
Mm.
prescribes
thing.
right, not everybody prescribes to that, but they think we do. Like cuz I hear it all the time. Well, you don't want to do like cuz they don't understand that, hexing is protection.
Right. And
It's a form of
also
protection magic
it
and
might be part of the other person's soul
karma,
contract.
right? Or karmic
yeah.
connection or whatever you want to call it. Like,
That's why we
like
do divination first. Like before I
exactly.
do anything,
I ask
it's
unless
this.
I'm that mad that I don't have time to ask. But if I'm
Well, see,
that
if I'm
mad,
mad
there's
and
a
well,
reason.
I will do a return to sender, but what I'm not,
Dude,
what I'm
when
not right, I will just transmute whatever it is they're sending me.
with me, I do the return to sender with the friggin' peel-eyed Reiki smith, everything going all at once. I get chaotic. It just comes spewing out of me. And like everybody in my family sees it. They know when I'm having that period because and it has to be something that bad to get me to that point. And it's usually someone attacking my child, attacking my husband, or
Yeah.
that's what gets me that mad. Other times, yeah, I will take the time to discern or do divination or a mirror spell, even. Like, I get
Right.
paranoid at
Yeah.
times if
Let
I
them
got
reflect
mirrors.
on it.
Yeah,
But
I turn my
transmute,
mirrors
anytime
upside
anybody
down.
is sending you energy, transmute it.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what their intention is. You transmute it to energy that you can use for positive.
I never even thought of it that way either. So that is very interesting because I don't even think of it. I think about catching it and throwing it right back at him.
Like, you
Back
want to throw
when
me energy? Cool. I can use all the energy I can get.
That's what I do. I throw that shit.
yeah, um back when my group was working up here and we were doing a lot of witch meetups and things like that and working with people, we used to tell them that, yeah, a lot of us are solely standing on the dark side of magic, but we're facing the light because we know what we do may not be like the best and it may be on that darker end of the magic spectrum and the pagan point of view or the Wiccan point of view, but we're trying to do good with it.
Right.
And oh yeah, I Holly definitely knows, a time in, the group that things were popping off and getting really bad. And I was casting reflection, spells out one right after another, sending that, negativity right back at those people.
And then there's me. Yeah, I ain't even asking questions. It's just go. Yeah, you get a zap,
Mm-hmm.
you get a zap, you get a zap, get out the door. Yeah. And
Yup.
but it takes when it gets to that level, especially for me, like I don't like to revert to something that someone can look at as, what most some people would call evil, because I don't think it's evil. I think it's doing what you need to do
You know,
to
Yeah.
have a better outcome.
somebody can also feel the effects. Like if somebody who was in my circle, right, decides that they don't want to be, they want to send negativity, they want to be deceitful, they want to, whatever it is that they're doing. I don't have to do anything but remove my energy from them. You are no longer under my protection.
Cutting
I
ties.
am no longer concerned with your.
I got very good at cord cutting, because I
Mm.
developed those cords with people very quickly, and
And
9
then you
times out
find
of
out,
10, the
through the
truth
witchy
about them.
grapevine, all the
Right.
shit that happened to them after that. And you're like,
And that's,
I had nothing to do
I've
with
gone
it.
through that. I've got you, like, I mean, I know you've all seen my share of crap that I've dealt with within the community. I put my faith in
Mhm.
people I shouldn't, and then when I see their true colors and I see their true persona, I want to cut those ties.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, there are some that just want to fight back and do anything they can to destroy you. And that's when I just cut, clip, snap, goodbye.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and I've
I
had to
walk
do that
away.
too.
Yep, I think walking away is the worst punishment that you can give somebody.
Yeah, because there was
Cutting back.
yeah, because there was a couple different groups, communities that I was a part of, and one of them was like trying to turn everything into an orgy, which that was
Hmm.
like mind baffling. And then the other one, when a family member of mine was putting out facts, she was heavily criticized and ganged up on, and like, and I stepped in to try to defend her because I knew that what she was saying was fact. And not, from a biased standpoint, because I'm Switzerland and everything, and that's how I'll always remain. But I knew that, she had done her research and, was legitimately telling the truth. But, she was ganged up on. So I was like, okay, well, um, clearly I'm gonna be next just because, I have that family tie. So, and I don't like what's happening here because I'm not the only one being attacked. And it's not just my family member, but it's other people on here that, they're not able to freely speak upon their path, upon, how they feel is right with their soul. So, I just cut, 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 cut.
Hmm. Yep. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life.
Nope.
I agree 100%. And I think that's what turns me off to like most covens and most like, I mean, we've tried ourselves to like get things running within our area. And it just seems like we bend over backwards to accommodate as many people as possible. And then we're always the only ones that show up.
Right. I'm like, y'all asked me for this meetup. God damn it.
Yeah, and here I am spending my money at a restaurant I don't even like, so y'all could come, and nobody shows up.
Yeah,
So,
and then
but
being able to trust people is a whole different issue in itself.
and it is like, I mean, I know like trust is a big thing, especially in magical circles. Because like you said, when you
Mm.
said like, oh, the groups that are into orgies, they're like, I mean, I know going back to like the 80s and 90s, that was a lot of it. Like, I belong to the other king community. And for the longest time, that's what became of that. Like the Therian community and these other king communities became more about fetishes and less about like-minded people connecting,
Hmm.
whether they were fairykin or Therian or whatever, like getting together with people who were just like you,
Yeah.
not completely of this world and trying to base a community. And I see the same thing happen in witchcraft. Like I think that's where people kind of confuse it with religion because we kind of sometimes have the same problems as some mainstream religions when it comes to abuse within the communities and
Yeah.
like that.
It seems like people have another misconception, and that's that if there are two witches living in you know whatever proximity to each other, they must be in conflict.
Right. That is the big thing that I dislike.
I'm
Like,
like,
if I
why?
see it, like, with a lot of the shops that open up and are run by quote unquote witches, and then another shop opens up in a town next to theirs that may be a little bit similar but not the same, and boom, they're spreading crap about the other. But
There's
like,
two other shops
why
in the
can't we
5 mile
all
radius. We all
right,
get along.
why can't we all offer the same? Well, I think it's just the coal region, man. But why can't we all have something to offer to the community? We
Right.
all have our own unique gifts. Like, I operate out of my house. You operate out of your shop. I don't have a shop because I can't afford one. So I travel. I go to
You better
markets,
stop
go to
saying I
fest.
can't afford.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna smack you.
Creator needs to let me help me win the lottery.
Yes, speak into existence.
But I also don't think my calling is to be tied down to one place, because I get my greatest reward when I am traveling to festivals and markets, and I'm, for lack of a better term, ministering
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
people at these locations, because I do my readings, I do my energy cleanses, I
Yep.
share my books, and I make things I make body products to share and tumblers, like, here's one, buy, yay, no,
Oh, I
cheap
love that.
plug myself. Yeah, it's all about Bigfoot. Believe in yourself
Oh,
even when no one else will. That's
Yep.
like my favorite thing.
I saw that on a bumper sticker recently too. I
Well,
was
and
like,
and then
yes.
and then I the perfect graphic came with it. So I was just like, yeah, that's my cup, because I claim that one, because it even's got a little pink speaker on the bottom. But
Yes.
yeah, but so yeah, that's what I do though. I take my stuff out and work in the community, because I've
Right.
always been called to be a healer of some sort.
That's a good way to connect with the community.
Right. And they can't come to me, so I go to them.
I'm vending this Saturday at the Art Academy, and then in May I'll be at the World of Fae.
Yay, I
Ooh.
can't be there because that's the same week as Penhurst.
Yeah,
That's because I was gonna do it last year, and thank God I didn't, because it was the same weekend as Penhurst, but then I had my surgery, like, 3 days beforehand. I would have never been ready to go out and do, but yeah. So,
Ooh.
I'm getting ready to close out for the night, but if there is one piece of advice you could give a young witch or a new witch or even an old witch, what would it be?
go find a crone.
I would say be true to who you are. Don't listen to the masses.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say no. Honestly, yeah, be yourself. Find your path, walk it.
Yep.
Be true to yourself.
I always say that, trust yourself, trust your
Yeah,
intuition, because it'll never lead you on the wrong path. If you feel
Yes.
something strong enough within you, follow it. I've learned if I don't, it'll just keep gnawing at you. So, but guys, I want to
Hmm.
thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate y'all taking a little bit of time out of your days to come on and talk to everybody. But I need you guys to hang on 1 minute, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
All right.